What up, UA fam? We are so freaking excited for today's episode because we have some epic guests.
Today we are joined by sisters Mady and Scout. They are each one half of the Okay Sis Podcast. They talk all things pop culture, lifestyle, wellness, and business, along with a new female guest every single week. Aside from the podcast, both Scout and Mady have their own individual businesses. Mady is the co-creator of the app Camber, and Scout is the founder of Scout's agency and author of The Emotional Entrepreneur. So let's get into today's episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Is hiring challenging? Yes. Do you love a challenge? Also, yes. You need a hiring partner that can help you rise to the challenge. You need Indeed.
Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. Indeed streamlines hiring with powerful tools that find you matched candidates. And with Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment that they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US.
Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/unsolicited. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/unsolicited. Just go to Indeed.com/unsolicited and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/unsolicited. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So we are so pumped to have you guys here as guests. And we always start with talk for a moment and say your name so people can get used to your voice, because we always got people thought we were opposite.
Everyone thought I was Taryne for a really long time.
Which is so strange to me.
Well, I have a feeling your audience is definitely going to know the difference between the two of us by the end of this episode. But hi, everybody. I'm Scout. I am Maddie's older sister.
And I'm Mads, and I am very loud, and so you will be able to distinguish.
And you also have the most contagious laugh. It's so good. It's so good.
It's insane.
I remember thinking that when I was on your podcast with my sister,
Really?
and then I went on TK's podcast with you, Mads, and you started laughing, and I was like, I forgot about her laugh.
I never even thought about her laugh.
It's so funny to me.
It's because
so rude.
you make fun of my laugh. Like you.
Yeah, she has a weird. She gets in like these delusional. You know when you're just like so delusional.
Yes.
And Scout is like girl boss, like buttoned up, like.
She is.
And then there are times where she just like goes off, and even last night she was just like. I was like, wait, excuse. Are you okay? You sound deranged. And she was like, why do you always make fun of my laugh? I'm like, 'cause
I can't even picture your laugh right now, if I'm being honest.
She's like, wait, am I funny? Yeah. Like, why don't I hear you laugh?
So Maddie's the young one.
Yes.
Right? And then Scout is the oldest.
Yes.
And Scout, your mom, right?
Yeah, wow. When you just said that,
I know
that was weird.
Same.
Really?
Because I just pictured my mom, and I was like, because you were like going through the sister, and then the mom, and I'm like, oh, you're talking about me. I am a mom now.
Yeah.
Wait, so newly?
Yeah, she's 7 months.
Congratulations.
It feels like I just have her. So when other people reflect back to me that I'm a mom, it's still an identity, like kind of jarring.
It's still very new.
The other day when she was like, oh, my daughter, and I was like, what?
Whoa.
That's like crazy.
I was like, wait, you have a daughter? What?
I honestly forgot that I had a daughter for the last 2 hours, so maybe that's like brought it back for me.
Well, like coming here, getting with her, coming here. Yeah, there's no daughter here.
Yeah.
Which makes you an aunt.
Oh,
Maddie.
which is the best life.
Is it not?
It is.
Because she's an aunt and she's thriving.
It's my new identity.
I've made it my personality trait. Like it is my only personality trait. I'm so obsessed. So I was anti-baby, like just. I guess, yeah, in general, just like not a baby person. And then Lily came into my life, and I have never been more obsessed with any human being, anything, really. Like every day I FaceTime her.
Yeah.
And then and it's just her, and she's like, "Oh, you're calling for Lily?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't care about you."
Yeah, but I don't need to talk to you.
I don't need to talk to you. Like, show me.
I text her
show me
photos
the
of her,
star.
and then like 3 minutes later, it's on her Instagram story.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm like, and then so she's also my phone background. Wait, well, now you can't see, but she's on my phone background, and I was at Dry Bar, and someone saw it, and they're like, "Oh my God, is that your baby?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's my baby."
Yeah, that's
where
me.
we're at.
When I have like my nephew, someone will be like, "Oh, he's so cute," and I'm like, "Thank you."
You're like,
I put a lot of work into this.
I did it all myself.
It's got to be
I love
so
that.
crazy transitioning into that like phase of life, having grown up together, and then all of a sudden looking at your sister and being like, "Oh my God, you're like in charge of another life,
Oh,
like
it's
another
insane.
human."
Yeah. Do you think I'm different? We actually haven't talked about this. Do you think that I'm different in any way, or
that's
do you think our
interesting.
dynamic has become a little bit different? Like, what do you see a difference between
Yeah.
mom me and then like no baby me?
So I think you're so mature and you're so much more responsible. So I kind of, it just feels natural
Yeah.
for, like, if I had a baby,
Yeah.
we'd be like a little worried,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Whereas with you've always done things, I think, like earlier, I don't know,
Yeah.
you're just like a step ahead.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
literally me and Taryne.
Yeah.
Taryne is gonna be such a great mom one day, and I'm just over here.
I'm just like,
if and when I ever have kids, she's gonna be
Is this normal?
helping me through. So I'm gonna be calling her every day, like,
Yeah.
"What do I do? How do I
Yeah.
do this? I'm scared,
totally.
terrified."
So one of the things we'd love to just know is, what was your journey to like starting a podcast together? Like, was one of your idea? Because like with me and Ash, I didn't listen to podcasts whatsoever, and she was just like, "Want to do this with me?" And I was like, "Sure." Like
Yeah.
want to go to Vegas? Sure. Want to like want to move in my house? Sure. Like always down. So
always
that's
me
kind
initiating.
of that's kind of like how ours started. But I would love to hear like where this came up. How did you guys come up with like the concept? All those things.
So, wow, we haven't told this story in a while. So, long story short, I had a podcast of my own because I lived next to a wholesale produce store that also had a podcast studio. It was a very weird time.
Interesting.
Convenient.
It was weird.
Very
and
weird.
It was very random, and they were like produced it for me for free because they were trying to get their podcast studio like up and
Wow.
going. So I was like, sure. I walk across the street, I record an episode, let's go. But, like about 8 or 9 months into it, I just wasn't really feeling inspired. I wasn't really treating it like a business. I was kind of just showing up. And Mads and I went to the Ojai Valley Inn and Spa for her birthday.
I love it there. I just went for the first time. Oh my God.
It's
Oh
Maddie's
my
favorite
God.
place. It's her favorite place.
I want to go back.
And so we just got massages. We were drinking rosé by the pool. And because I was so terrible at my podcast, I said I need an episode for like tomorrow. So we went into the business center and recorded it on my phone while eating truffle chips.
Nice.
And
So
there was
ASMR for the listeners.
ridiculous. And there was this
Such bad audio.
such bad audio, yeah. But there was this, I don't know, it was like a new life into the process, and I felt like there was a really great synergy between the two of us. I don't think the two of us had ever been in a concentrated space to realize what our energy and what our personalities do when
Yeah.
it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
And so a couple weeks later, I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, we need to start something together. I didn't know if it was going to be a podcast, and then it snowballed really fast, and I said I should just stop mine and we should start a new one. And then 2 weeks later, we had Okay Sis Podcast, but Maddie went through a little bit of a different emotional journey. To start it. This was 5 years ago now.
Yeah, this is 5
My
Oh my
God.
gosh! Congratulations. We just hit our 4.
Nice.
Fourth. Yeah.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. So,
You've been podcasting for a while.
yeah,
So
yeah.
have you. Go us.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody has a podcast now, so I feel like
Yeah.
when people are like 4
Right,
years,
yeah.
oh, like
Yeah.
you really
I
podcast
feel like
for 5 years.
anything over 2, you've got something going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's going good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I was an avid podcast listener for I was a consumer of podcasts. I loved them. And I also just had this more different mentality than I have now for sure, where I was really afraid to put myself out there. I also thought, what do I have to say? And I also thought back then, there's so many podcasts, it's so saturated. Why?
Yeah.
Which just proves that is what everyone says before they want to start.
Everyone
something.
Yes.
says it's just an excuse, whatever.
Absolutely.
So I don't really know how I was able to conjure up the confidence to take that leap, but I
think I forced you.
I think you forced me.
There was
because-
some peer pressure
That
involved.
yeah.
Totally. And so, and I'm immensely grateful for it, because now that's how I live most of my life and how I do everything in anything in my career or business. I'm just like, all right, let's do it. Let's try it.
Good.
Jump
That's
off
awesome.
Jump off the cliff. Whereas
Yeah.
before there was a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And putting myself out there and feeling vulnerable in that way. So
Because we also weren't
Yeah.
on the internet before this.
this was like
we weren't
the
like
first time ever being.
Yeah, we
being-
didn't have like Instagrams, we're influencers or anything like that. Ooh, I hit the mic.
Oh no, I do it all the time.
So
You're
this
good.
was like this was a big kind of thing for
a
us.
shift in identity for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is really cool.
And what do we talk about? Every thing.
Everything. I mean, it's, we go from, oh yeah, there you go, Mads. We kind of like a traditional or a classic Okay Sis episode is if we start super silly and then all of a sudden we go super serious about mental health and limiting beliefs and our fears, and then we end really silly and laughing. We kind of like to go all over the spectrum.
Okay, so literally same.
Guys,
I was just about to say, that's why.
Okay, so this is going to be like
That's 1,000% why I wanted to have you guys on, because I feel like we vibe so well on all of those things. I think you guys are freaking hilarious. And then also just like every time it gets into something deep, I feel like that's what we most resonate with. And that's why I feel like you guys are going to be great advice givers for our listeners today. Also, just to like shout them out, if our listeners don't know, both of you guys are entrepreneurs individually as well.
Yes.
So let me make sure I have this right. Scout, you have your own agency.
Yes, Scout's
right?
agency.
You're the author of The Emotional Entrepreneur.
Yes.
And obviously the other half of the Okay Sis podcast, and a mom. And then Mady, you are the co-founder of the Camber App, which I now regularly use.
Oh my God, Ashley!
I just want to say I'm a really big fan.
Oh my God, stop.
It doesn't matter where you live. Like if you're in a small city or a big city, it's hard to know what's going on or like what to do on the weekend. So like this past weekend, I was so tired just from like traveling. And I was like, I wonder if there's anything we could go do. So I hopped on.
Shut up.
I hopped on and just to see like what was happening locally. And it's so convenient.
Oh my God.
It's so
that makes me
convenient.
so happy.
I'm a big fan. And then you also just started the Right at Home series.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I think is incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just
I know it's new, but
it's
like
very new. Yeah,
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, me and my friend were just like, it all started when for my birthday, I just saw this one girl on TikTok that was creating incredible tablescapes, like just aesthetic, beautiful.
It's a gift.
It's beautiful. It really is. Like you think it's easier than it looks.
Yeah.
And I reached out and got her pricing, and I was like, you know what, like I probably could just do this on my own, right? And so me and my friend, we just like bought the inventory. It was like super whatever. And we set up this one table. We did like a test Shabbat at my mom's house and like invited all like just a couple friends just to take content. And we're doing another one on Tuesday, and it's just something fun on the side that we're doing. But it's
I love it.
Like
So
we have
cool.
the inventory now, so like if anyone wanted to do dinner parties, and we could just go and set them up for you.
You just
Yeah.
pop
Like,
in, set it up,
there
and
it
then
is.
it's done.
I just love like aesthetic videos on TikTok. It's
Same.
Oh my gosh,
Same.
yes.
It's
Yes.
my whole
Same.
feed. It's my whole
Just pour
feed.
myself a glass of wine
or
and scroll through
people
that.
getting hurt.
People getting hurt.
Wait, what?
Oh, like home videos?
Are
Like
you
home
okay?
videos.
Wait, what?
Could have clarified that a little bit more.
I could have said that differently, but it's in the air.
We used to watch
rolling with it.
America's
Funniest home videos. And all it is like someone running into a door or like
or into a pool and it like flopping out. Or
honestly,
something.
it's like only people getting hurt and you laughing.
it's like, yeah.
It's dark, but we're there, and this is a judgment-free zone.
It is,
so-
it
I'm
is.
just kidding.
So something that I find interesting about you guys is something that I currently and have in the past always dealt with. Working with siblings comes with a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We're like, should we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pause, they were like, and?
What?
Is there a question there?
Yeah. A lot of good, a lot of bad. Wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what it's like working with a sibling. Any tips for people who might currently be working
Don't.
with siblings?
I mean, I think that when people ask us that question, I always don't think that we work together because I think that we understand through Okay Sis, which in my opinion is a business that isn't, for some reason the word is coming low stakes, but that's not what I mean by it. But like it's not, we have businesses that promote our livelihood. And so I think Mads and I have seen the way we work differently. And so I think now we would never enter like a business that would be reliant on maybe like our full income together. Wouldn't you say that? But
100%.
I don't think it's that hard to work together on Okay Sis Podcast, but I think that it would be incredibly difficult if like our main business, we were co-founders.
Yeah. We have definitely different working styles, but Okay Sis doesn't feel like work to us.
Yeah,
It definitely
it's not.
feels like more of this like networking tool for us and a community building tool, but
And a relationship building.
oh
tool.
right, I forget about that part. But the part that we always say is when you're a sister and you're working with family, for better or for worse, everything has no filter. And you just are able to cut through the fat. You don't have to be like, I'm worried about this person's feelings or this. You just be like, yes, no.
Oh, maybe that's
terrible,
why it
whatever.
doesn't feel like work, because we never have that extra layer of like, how am I going to approach this?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have time to.
You know, you're
to stress about stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just need the answer now.
Totally. And like, if you were with a friend or with a coworker or whatever, it would be such a different dynamic. So it's good because sometimes it can come off kind of short.
And I think we've both like gone into instances where I felt like she was being rude or she felt like I was being rude, but we were just being blunt and to the point about what we wanted.
Right.
But when I think back on the last 5 years, I think the most important thing is that the both of us are very committed to Okay Sis. Like there's never really a thought in our mind whether or not, you know, we want to keep doing it or whatever. And we do yearly check-ins together, but there's just such a commitment to Okay Sis that we've never missed a Monday. We're doing 3 episodes a week now. It's just something that's literally a part of our life. It's like our right arm kind of thing. So it doesn't, I mean, and lately I feel like we've had no issues.
Yeah. We're superstars.
I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah, we're superstars.
Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Is hiring challenging? Yes. Do you love a challenge? Also, yes. You need a hiring partner that can help you rise to the challenge. You need Indeed.
Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. Indeed streamlines hiring with powerful tools that find you matched candidates. And with Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment that they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US. And what's even better, Indeed's the only job site where you can only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements, making sorting through all of them so much easier. And Indeed is an unbelievably powerful hiring platform, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, people, according to Talent Nest 2019. So join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast.
Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/unsolicited. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/unsolicited. Just go to Indeed.com/unsolicited and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/unsolicited. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
It wasn't until you said that you guys have your own like separate things going on other than Okay Sis that I realized that that was the exact situation that me and my sister were in. And I also agree. I thought we worked really well together too. Both of us have our own dynamics. Both of us have our own areas that we're like more talented in. And we just kind of like trusted each other to like stay in our zone. And I think not having that financial dependency on that thing that you're doing together does take a lot of pressure off.
It does.
Totally.
Yeah.
Interesting. A little common denominator there.
You kind of mentioned this, and it's something I'm always curious about people who do a podcast, because I feel like podcast is such a raw, like, outlet. Like, it's like, you know, I mean, like, obviously like, we have cameras, we have certain things, but when you're recording, like, it's me, I feel like I'm just sitting and talking to Ash, right? And I know, like, through this process, like, I've grown so much as an individual in just the things that I've processed out loud, the way that, like, I've shared every part of me. So, like, even if someone makes fun of me, I'm like, okay, like, and, you know? And I know you said, like, before you were kind of like, what am I going to say? Like, it's very empowering to know, like, your voice, like, you can impact people and you can have, like, a positive effect on people. So I'd like to just hear, like, personally, like, how you guys feel like as individuals you've, like, grown.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's been night and day for me, for sure. Like,
me too.
I think just Okay Sis was the impetus for everything else we've built in our lives. Scout has an agency that's surrounded around the podcasting industry. And I started my business and my startup. I would have never had the confidence to start something and do it full time and take that leap. Also, I said that about putting myself out there on the internet. because we started doing Okay Sis and this like repetition of just like constantly being putting yourself out there, then I started being on TikTok, and that blew up everything in my life and like gave me every opportunity and every single connection that I've made. So I see Okay Sis as this like, I'm so grateful that it forced me out of that shell.
The
Because
foundation you needed.
I needed to then just like every single thing I do, I'm like, okay, let's get on TikTok. Let's get my face out there. Like it's automatic now.
Yeah.
I mean, like before Okay Sis, Mads and I always say like before I started this podcast, I felt like I was completely floundering in my career. Like I was working for my mom as like her second employee in her startup because I just was having a difficult time in life, and we didn't have a network. Nobody knew who we were or what we were doing or anything like that. And we started this podcast and we created incredible connections with women that were deep and unfiltered and uncurated. And in that process, we also found each other individually and as sisters. Like our relationship, I can't even remember what it was like before Okay Sis. So I think in the beginning when we started Okay Sis, we were like, this is going to be our full-time gig. But it's so much more cooler to look back and be like, Okay Sis gave us all of this. Like I started my agency very shortly after Okay Sis Podcast because I fell in love with the podcasting space. My book was surrounded by support from all the women that we had on the podcast. Like Okay Sis feels like this impetus or like the foundation to which we've been able to grow separately, right? Because we have like our separate businesses now and together as sisters. And I think that emotionally and on a personal development level, we've been able to grow together in insane lengths. I mean, like Mady would never even say the universe 3 years ago, and now she's like praying to the universe every day. And it was out of my comfort zone because I'm much more serious and curated, I feel like, and Mady has pushed me out of my comfort zone to be silly and to actually be myself. So it's like better than, it's honestly impacted our life more than therapy. It's ever impacted our life.
I would agree with that. Like both of us are big fans and constantly advocate for therapy because we've both individually like grown and learned so much from it. But I would put this podcast probably a little bit before that. I feel like I've learned more about myself, I've articulated my points of view and been like, oh, I didn't really realize that's how I felt about that. Or like listen to people's stories and have them like actually change my thinking on something. And it all happened like here.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, think about
not me insisting everyone start a podcast.
No, but like think about the average person.
Does.
Like if you don't have a podcast, I mean, we spend 1, 2, 3 hours a week. Concentrated conversations, no distractions.
Exactly.
If we went to lunch, this conversation wouldn't be like this.
No.
It
I mean, our phones are put away. Like
Yeah.
it is very intentional time of just sitting here and like
It's like
dialogue.
it's the most present I ever feel.
Yeah.
I would agree with
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
during meditation, I feel present. When I'm walking, I feel present. And then podcasting. Like even if I'm on a call or a Zoom, like you're still not, but there's this different energy that happens where you have to be listening. You have to, or else you're.
And you want to show up in a way that's impactful. So you're putting yourself, like you're pushing yourself to think and talk and present ideas that are actually going to either entertain or inspire or educate or something. You don't want to just sit here and around and have it be a shitty episode too.
I was just gonna say, if you're not engaged, then you're putting out shit content and you're actually like probably gonna sound dumb.
Yeah.
Like why would anyone listen to that? So you have to actually be like focused and interacting.
But I think even more, like I hear like your guys' journey and how this was like let's just try it, or like why not? And I think people let their decisions be driven by fear so much. I'm so guilty of that. But I think it's like when you see like when you hear your story, it's like, okay, if I take that step, I could be embarrassed and it could set me back a moment. I'd have to recover and then I'll figure something else out. If you don't take that step, like look at how much came from it. And so I feel like everybody listening, like just do it. Like you have to go with like your gut and go and try things, and you will either be led towards like a right path or you'll learn, oh, that's not the path. Like for me, instead of just living your life being like, well, what if I did this? And what if I did this? Like it's very inspiring hearing your guys' stories.
I always encourage people, if they want to start a podcast, don't think about how saturated it is. Like this is just a medium. It's enough. You wouldn't say that you're not gonna. I always think about Lauren Everett Bostic when she was on our podcast. She said you would never say, "Oh, I'm not gonna be a musician because music is so saturated," or I'm not gonna start a TikTok because there's so many TikToks. This is just another channel, another medium. So don't let that scare you. And I honestly do it.
don't even do it for like
don't do
the
it
downloads, like, or the money or anything.
Well, definitely don't do it because I'm sorry, but
it's probably not. You're probably not
going to be Alex Cooper. So sorry, which is fine though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we came to terms with the fact that, like, okay, sis, for us, the metric of success is our network and the women that we meet and who we bring on the podcast,
the community you've built,
and the community, like, that is the measure of success. And like, we don't care about the money, whatever downloads. It's like we have access to women that. In what other world would we be like, hey, can we have an hour of your time to ask us any question? Like, we're gonna ask you any question we want.
Tell me your deepest struggle.
seriously.
And then you feel these connection with these women, and then they become our friends, and it's been amazing.
No, I love it.
And it's crazy you say the saturation thing. I started my YouTube channel 9 years ago, and it was after my little sister had already started her channel, and my number one thing was I started too late.
Oh my God.
And that was 9 years ago, before everyone else started channels, before podcasts came out. And I almost didn't upload because I had two fears. One, my high school friends were going to see and judge me. And two,
always that. It's always that. We always have those two people that we think are going to see it.
I have their names.
I have their names. I have the names. I have their faces.
Yeah, I have them.
I was like, they're going to judge me for it. And then two, I was like, it's too late. Like, there's already so many out there. And that was the start of everything. It's so crazy that I had the same fear then that people are having now, that I still have now. Like, even starting this podcast, I remember we just said 4 years ago. But I was like, there's so many out there.
Can you imagine if you didn't do that because you cared what someone from high school thought?
That was my foundation. That was my
everything
thing.
would have been robbed from you. Like, this wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
Like, it's crazy.
I wouldn't have even moved out here if it wasn't for that. So like, it's my whole life trajectory changed because of that decision. Just like your whole lives trajectories have changed, your careers have built off of that one foundational decision that you guys made to make the podcast together, which is just so inspirational for anyone. Because one of the next questions I was going to say was, do you have any tips for people who might want to start small businesses, since you both have your own and one together? But I feel like that's kind of like the main message here, is to just shoot your shot.
Also, I was reading, there's this incredible book. It's called The Principles of Success, or The Success Principles, by Jack Canfield.
Writing that down.
Okay, it's incredible. Mimi Bouchard talks about it all the time, and I finally was like, I'm gonna get it. And then I went on Amazon, and it's like this white guy in a suit, like leaning against the thing, and I'm like, ugh.
I can picture that.
Right?
We need to rebrand though.
No, because it just goes to show that you cannot judge a book by the cover. This is one of the most incredible self-development books one will ever read. And I have read a lot of personal self-development.
She's read it all.
This puts it into a concise outline. It's basically the only book you need, in my opinion, when it comes to personal development. And he says that before you say you want to do something, right? Like, let's say you want to start a podcast. I'm going to paraphrase. Is that the word? Yeah. He says 3 things are going to come into your mind. First, you're going to think thoughts that immediately are going to go against it. Like, well, I don't have time, or well, it's going to cost some money, or well, what does that person think? Then you're going to start feeling fear. And then you're going to be like, oh no, now I feel fear. And then there's going to be an actual world life roadblock. Like, your equipment doesn't get there on time, or you recorded and you lost the SIM card, or you didn't press record, or something in the life is going to happen. If you can get through the initial thoughts, the initial fears, and the roadblocks that the world pulls at you, you can move forward and actually hit your goal. So it's like knowing that happens universally to all of us. We will all have that 3 little prong approach, and it's totally normal. And so you can just be like, oh yeah, there's the fear, there's the thoughts, there's the roadblock. Let's keep going anyways.
The first video I created, there was no audio.
Oh no.
That happened to us.
Yeah, our microphones didn't work.
Our microphones didn't work.
Yeah, full fail on my part. And I remember that was my roadblock. Like, I actually took the action to record the damn thing,
and it didn't
record audio, so I had to re-record the whole thing.
And I just re-recorded.
I know, but like, it's so funny because that was the third step. Like, I had all of those thoughts that you just mentioned, and then the actual roadblock came where I could have been like, well, screw it, I'm not doing it anymore. But can you, for the listeners and for me, can you say the title of the book again?
Yeah, I think it's The Success Principles, or it's The Success Principles, not The Principles of Success. Jack Canfield.
Adds to cart.
I love that. I love that energy of it feeling universal. I think of this in it's kind of the same energy that I have towards tests, and when things happen and the universe is testing you. Yeah. Instead of like automatically going into victim mentality and being like, why is this happening to me?
My life's over.
My life's over, and I'm gonna just give up or whatever. It's more of this like, how
bad do you want it?
Okay. The universe is testing me. Let me pass this test. Okay, let me get through this and
let me suit up.
Let me learn. What can I learn from this? And so that type of like different energy where you just are like, oh wait, okay, yeah, it's testing me because on the other side of this test is my dream. And
I honestly like weirdly get off in those moments.
Yeah.
Like I'm like the girl in business. Like I was about to launch our first course at my agency and my assistant deleted the course while I had sent the link to a couple of people to enroll before I publicly announced it. So like they could have gone to like enroll and then they would have been gone. And she was like, oh my God, right? And I was like, don't worry. Whenever you do something, I was like, this is the story we're going to tell in 10 years when this is so super successful.
Yeah,
and I just like
the funny part.
Yeah, I just like go into this you want to see what I'm made of? Like this is not stopping me today. And I got it back up in like 30 minutes.
I say that's what I say whenever I have like a challenge. It's like, oh, this is for the How I Built This episode.
Oh my God.
Every time there's a Camber challenge, me and my
This is for
co-founder
the
like
documentary.
It's for the,
Yeah.
We say that every time. It's for the documentary.
For the documentary.
One of my favorite podcasters, Mel Robbins, she had a great quote, and I'm not even going to try to copy it because I'll butcher it, but she basically was saying everything's about perspective and how you can take your life in a healthy direction of just like whatever your immediate gut reaction is, like completely flipping it, because it's almost always a negative one. It's almost always putting yourself down or putting the situation down or whatever your project is, it's going to be a fail. Like it's almost always your gut instinct is to be negative. And so every time, like taking a second, pausing, flipping the narrative, and then continuing with that narrative.
I mean,
She worded it much better, but it was a moment in my life where I was like, anytime I feel that like initial gut reaction of just being negative or angry or whatever, I need to stop, flip it, and then continue forward.
And it's as simple as that. Like it's literally like changing your thoughts impacts everything. We talk about this all the time.
It's crazy.
It's a constant surveillance. It's a constant like anytime a negative thought. No, it's just
We say it's not a democracy; it's a dictatorship up there, and what we say goes. These thoughts don't have they don't have a say. They're like running rampant. No one gave them a vote at the table.
It's so powerful when you realize that, and you realize how simple it is. It's not easy, but it's very simple. It's just like, and you'll catch yourself and just be like, oh no, we're not talking that way anymore.
Or that's a lie. That's a limiting belief. I picked that up from some. That's my dad talking in my head, or like whatever it is, right? Or that's that person from high school that's saying it. You know what I mean? And you realize that it's not even your truth most of the times, anyways.
No, in therapy, my therapist was telling me, she was like, you are controlled by like your inner dialogue is a parent that's like telling you you're in trouble a lot. Like,
totally.
Which was like, I was just like, that's very interesting. Like, I haven't heard that. And so her whole practice with me, and it's like called something, and I totally forgot what it's called, but it's the whole, when you have a thought, you're like, okay, do I have any evidence at all for this? So even if I'm like, oh, she hates me, do you actually know that? Like what? Like what's the evidence, right? And then it's like, okay, well, after that, is this productive? Like, is it making you feel good, or is it taking you down a path? So it's like almost like this checklist of going like, okay, for this thought to actually enter, it has to pass like A, B, and C, And that helped me so. That helped me so much to just take a second to be like, oh, okay, like I can have a thought, but like, how do I let it like permeate? How do I decide like, okay, I have no evidence. Like, this is not helpful. Like, why am I going to let myself like marinate on this and go down a path when I can just be like, Taryne, like,
well, it's all about how you react.
Reach out.
Like that's the thing that we have in our control. Like, you'll never be able to live a life devoid of challenges or pain or whatever. But it's your reaction that you have complete control over, and how you can look at things through a growth mindset, through abundance mindset, and like pain, like suffering is gonna happen to you. Like, gonna happen. Sorry, but it's just like you trying to avoid it is not what's the goal here.
No.
Right.
It's how quickly you bounce back. And there's like a gap there that you just have to like shorten. Is like how quickly can I get out?
Shake it off and keep going.
Wow.
There's this Trevor Hall has a song, and he says, "How are you going to get free this time?" And I love that, because sometimes
Who's Trevor Hall.
He's a musician.
Is another one of your Taryne?
No, this is one of the hippie
ones?
spiritual people land.
She's
Go,
like
go,
she's
go
in a
follow and listen.
She's in a Taryne
You know the song,
era.
Honestly, like,
I
go
love
to karaoke and
you love
like
Taryne?
Taryne is like so great for karaoke. Thank you. Taryne is like, I'm like sing like it's like a singing in the car kind of vibe.
Let me paraphrase. She loves what's the other guy you love?
Okay, I'm sorry. I like Photograph by Nickelback. I like that song. I think it's a fun fucking song to sing. Photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. I mean, it's just like a good singing song.
I wanted to cancel us when she said that on our podcast. I was like, I do not subscribe to this narrative at all.
Well,
I recently, I was like playing like old songs on my phone, you know, when you like throw on songs and you just put random, and Jupiter came on.
Yes, great song.
What's Raindrops of Jupiter? What's it?
Yeah.
The actual title?
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know. Jupiter?
I don't know the actual title, but we all know the song because it's an amazing song.
Okay, but also...
And I immediately lit up and I was like, I forgot about this song.
They also have like 10 other good ones that you don't know are trained.
See,
that is similar to the Jupiter
right.
song. You have no idea, okay?
You're probably right.
I went deep into the train hole.
You're in the train.
Yeah, I am on the train. Okay.
I'm on the train.
So dumb.
Well, usually around this time, we start our Tearing It Up segment. We called it a Tearing It Up segment because
Oh, that's
my
cute.
co-host is like the
Okay.
epitome of like funny,
all right, get it
embarrassing
out.
stories. Every time she goes through something funny, she started telling us on the podcast, or if there was a really epic funny story that she remembered, she would tell it on the podcast. And it ended up becoming a segment where people send in their embarrassing stories, especially because a lot of our content gets kind of serious. So it's kind of nice to break it up. But instead of picking one today, we thought
share.
we'd ask if you guys had an embarrassing story that you wanted to share.
Yeah, so you guys told us to prepare this, and I told Scout, and Scout was like, we don't get embarrassed. Like, we don't, like, I feel like I don't have something.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I get mortified so
I mean, I
easily.
have a story that's embarrassing, but I wasn't embarrassed.
Exactly.
So I'll
if
tell
you
that
can-
story.
For me, every time they write and they're like, I've never told this. I'm like, hun, that is your party story. Like, that is the one you enter in and you're like, oh my gosh, guess what happened?
Totally.
Like, there is something so powerful about being able to laugh at yourself and to just be like, that was so funny. I can't wait to tell somebody, instead of like being embarrassed or ashamed.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that.
100%.
Okay, so this is what happened to me. This is more like mortifying. So I signed up for this new app, and I'm not gonna name it because it literally gives me PTSD to think about it. So I signed up for this new app, and you know how when you like onboard into a new app, you can find friends, right? You can like connect your Facebook or whatever.
Yes,
and it'll
yes.
show you other people that are like on the app that you can follow. So I thought that I was doing that, like, oh, let me see if there's other people I can follow. What I did, which again, like this is, and being an app builder, like my platform Camber, I just took notes because I was like, oh my God, this was false advertising. I don't know, they me in such a big way. And I was like, I need to make sure we never build something like this, because they kind of tricked me into then sending a text message to everyone in my contact book saying like, I invite you to join me on this app. No. So I don't know how I did it, but it just
I got people texting me like, "Hey, is there like,
every ex,
I
every
was just
hookup,
gonna say,
just think of anyone in your address book. Think of anyone.
like
there
your
are
guy?"
at least 300 people
My-
that I would die.
My ex's parents. Like, just think of anyone you have in your address book. Okay, this sent it to them.
But it didn't send it, like you couldn't see the text on your phone, so you couldn't respond and be like, "Sorry, spam."
Well, it also
right?
sent to thousands of people. So what I did, because I was like, right when it happened, I had that, like, you know, that feeling where your
gut
your
just
heart
drops.
just sinks in your butthole and you're about to
You're
die.
like, and
you're
I'm
just
done.
like, oh
And
my
I'm
God.
done.
And I'm like sweating. I'm like freaking out. And I call my best friend and I'm just like, what do I do? Oh my God, like my ex got it. Like they're gonna think I'm texting them. And then a lot of people texted me and was like, wait, why
What
did I
is
just
this?
say this? And it was like
Yeah.
random people from high school. And I just ignored it. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna even respond.
Yeah.
And then I posted on my Instagram story and I was just like, if you got a weird text from me, like it was spam, so just ignore. And then my like ex saw it, the story, so I was like, okay, we're like in the clear.
long as that's clear.
We're in the clear. But then like random ass people would be like, oh hey, well, how are you? I'm like, no,
not an invitation. Not an invitation.
I don't want to hear from you.
Not trying to chat. Not trying to chat.
So that was kind of embarrassing.
Dude, that's
super-
rough. I'm not
That's
joking.
the
That's
worst
rough.
one we've
There
heard.
are so many people I've kept them so that I avoid a text where I accidentally enter in being like, oh, sorry, new phone. Who's this? Right? So like, I can't even imagine.
It was.
I would die.
I'm having heartburn just like thinking about it. Like it was.
I mean, at least it
so
didn't say
bad.
like something inappropriate.
Well,
It
that's
could
what
have
I
been
was
a
going
lot
to
worse.
ask. Was it like,
it was just
said-
saying
it
that Maddie's
inviting
inviting
you
you
to
to
this
join
app.
that.
but it wasn't like a dating app or something?
No, it was like
that
this-
could
it
have
was
been
an
a little.
Oh, yeah. to my ex's parents. But like it looked like spam.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I feel like people kind of were just like, oh, weird. And
No,
then,
it's like on Facebook
Yeah.
when you get a message saying buy these Ray-Bans. I don't know why it's always Ray-Bans.
always Ray-Bans.
It's always
always
Ray-Bans.
Ray-Bans.
But I'm like, oh, you got it. Like, homegirl
yeah,
got
spam.
hacked.
Yeah. So I think
hopefully
it was
that was.
fine. Yeah.
That's what I assumed.
It was just so bad. So bad. Anyways.
Okay, my embarrassing story is that I filmed a video of me breastfeeding my little girl because we were coming to an end, and so I wanted to create a really beautiful video. It was like 5 a.m, and then it was, I was in my robe, etc. So I put the camera up and I just filmed for like 10 minutes, and then I made a splice of it, like I edited it all cute, whatever, and then I posted it with like a really beautiful caption. Like I was crying. Like it was poetry. Okay,
yeah,
it
that's
was
beautiful.
It was really because I was coming to an end of the journey and I was really hormonal and emotional about it. I posted on TikTok and Instagram, and then I close my phone and I walk away. And then like 7 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I didn't even really watch the full edit. So I'm like, let me go watch it with the song. And I watch it, and there is one point where I'm transferring her from one boob to the next. And it is a full second with
full
just
areola. Full areola.
boob, like right there. And I don't care, but I know people do. And so I was like, I worked so hard on this. I spent all night.
How did Instagram not take it down?
It was
they're
pretty-
like so quick on that.
No, they
stuff.
really are.
Yeah, they
really
didn't
are.
take it down, but like my client liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
not-
well, I watched
Wait, I have
it.
another one. Can I tell you one more?
Yeah.
Wait,
please.
but I watched it and I was like, okay, it's very far away. It was blurry. Like I don't really like.
But once I told you to look at minute 1, you were like, oh, there's.
I was like, yeah, there's
There it is.
My other one really fast is I was having just like, I needed a day to just about something that was going on. Like I was having a really hard day. And so I call my friend and I'm like, she's like, hey. And I was like, do you just have a second? Like I'm going crazy. I'm so upset. Like I can't do this anymore. Blah, 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 blah. And she goes, oh, I thought you were calling to wish me a happy birthday. I'm notorious for not remembering my friends' birthdays. So she laughed about it. At, like,
Scout, this happened to me as well.
I never remember my friends' birthdays.
How did we never? Okay, so
Never. Never. If you don't tell me the night before, it's your fault.
Right.
My co-founder
God.
and best friend. Okay, I also don't know anyone's birthday. And her birthday, for my defense, her birthday party was going to be the next week. So that's where my mind was.
Yeah.
So it's like a Friday, whatever. I'm like having the worst day, and I'm just like texting her like all day, being like, "Oh, I fucking hate this."
Yeah.
And then I call her, I'm just like, "Oh, it's just so sad," and whatever. And then and she's like still being like so nice, like pretending like I don't know she's what like.
Okay, I have to call her out for a second. She's got to say it. She's got to say it immediately.
Oh no, she did not say anything.
she's being too nice.
And she's because she doesn't like care, whatever. And so then I go on Instagram and I see her Instagram stories, and I was like, Lauren, why did you not tell me? And she was like, yeah, I just you're having a bad day. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
And so now to this day, I put every person's
have
birthday
to.
in my calendar as a
I've been-
repeat.
No, I've missed
to.
like 6 friends' birthdays.
You have to put it in as a repeat yearly.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
I sneakily started doing this last year, and every time it goes by, even if I just see it on Instagram, before I text them, I'll go in my calendar and I'll add it. And I've been
Yes.
trying
Yeah.
to like do that
It's a
regularly.
good practice. It's a good practice.
Because I check my calendar religiously. If it's in there, I won't forget.
I won't.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of like a new
is
thing that I've been
getting
trying to work
older.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
We put
But also-
birthdays in calendars
Also,
now.
I feel like it's a big ask to like be asked to remember everyone's birthday.
Totally.
Yeah.
You have your like core circle that
yeah.
it should
Even
be.
the core circle. That was a core circle, girl.
You know.
I said it was her fault. I said, well, it's your
Tara's
fault.
on
You
the
didn't
core
text me
circle, but-
yesterday.
Oh my God, amazing. Well, thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, that was really good.
Those are so good.
Contacts one.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of people
I know.
that mine would have gone to, and I'm just like, oof.
Like, yeah.
Honestly, I'm like, it inspired me to like, maybe, do I need to keep all those
No.
in?
I was going to
Just
say,
in
you
case
should
of
delete.
emergency?
Yeah, you should delete.
Yeah. We need to do
Also,
a hard
energetically, it'll be gone from you.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Inspired. Thank you so much for sharing.
Cleanse,
Detox, yeah.
Get rid of it. We don't have time for it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our first email.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm going to go ahead and read the email, and then we can all like discuss what they should do about it. I've read this email, but obviously you guys don't know, so feel free to react if anything crazy happens. Okay. But this one is titled Midlife Crisis at 29.
Okay.
Okay.
Been there.
Saturn return.
Done that.
I'm almost 29, so that works.
It's coming.
It's coming.
on its way.
It's coming.
All right, let's get into it. This is truly my favorite podcast, and I look forward to it every Monday. No matter what I'm going through, listening to you guys always makes me feel better. It doesn't even have to be advice that I relate to. It still always relaxes me. Also, I love your banter. Taryne, they love us.
Just kidding. Let me see.
You asked recently if we listen to the beginning of each episode where you guys share about your lives and whether or not we enjoy that part, and I just wanted to say that I do. Anyways, I'd like to stay anonymous, and let's get into the nitty gritty. I'm 29 years old, and I'm an Enneagram 9, and I like...
Wait. Do you guys, have you taken your Enneagrams?
I'm the achiever.
I don't remember.
I think it's a
Achievers
3.
of 3. Yeah.
I don't remember what I am. We're more
human design.
Ooh. Got it.
Okay.
Well, a 9 is
That's Ash.
a peacemaker, and they hate conflict. They have hard times making decisions because they see all sides. So that's just a little bit of a background of who our writer is.
Like hate conflict and like turtle shell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Run away. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Where I'm a 2 and I just want to talk about everything and like so that's been our fun
our fun little.
fun
That's my
dynamic.
They continue, and I feel like I'm having an early midlife crisis. I live in LA and work in the entertainment industry as an assistant art director, a job that I am very proud of and worked really hard to get to, but I am unfortunately just not happy. I moved out to California almost 6 years ago to go to grad school, which I loved, and soon after became an art production assistant. For those who don't know, that's the entry-level role in most entertainment industry careers. For years, I have worked so hard to move up in the art department, and towards the end of last summer, I made it to assistant art director. I was so happy to get where I thought I wanted to be. I have now worked on a couple shows in my current position, and honestly, I'm struggling. I always took pride in staying positive and smiling through the tough times because I was passionate about the art, but now I am finding myself counting down the days until production wraps so I can just take a break. I have been so lucky to have worked on some amazing projects with some amazing people, but unfortunately, I have found that there are more difficult teams than good ones. Maybe I've just been lucky, but as you know, 9s don't do well with conflict, and this industry has quite a bit of conflicting personalities, I bet. I couldn't even imagine. I'm panicking that I left my family to move across the country, spent so much money on grad school, worked hard to have a dream job that I know someone would love to have, and I'm just not enjoying it. I feel myself getting drained the more and more I do it. When I first started in the industry, I would wake up excited to go to work and felt passionate about bringing someone's vision to life. And now I wake up exhausted and just wishing I didn't have to go. I know a lot of people have jobs that they don't like, so should I just suck it up? I feel guilty even complaining about something like this. I'm in a bit of a rut and would love some advice.
Oh my God.
Should I quit even though I finally got to where I want to be?
Yeah. First of all, so we're not done. Sorry, keep going.
Almost there. Should I just keep going and hope it gets better?
No.
I think
You came to the right girls.
Yeah.
We're gonna blast you with some
answers.
goodness real quick.
I think art departments are so amazing and underappreciated in this industry. I just wish I was happier. Thank you so much for your time. P.S. I love you both, keeping the wonderful people that you are, and don't let anyone take down your passion. Anonymous.
Oh,
That's
cute
so
little.
sweet.
She's
for you
sweet.
guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
one, you should definitely not feel bad about complaining about this or whatever. You 100% no. 2, no, you definitely do not have to suffer in a job that you do not like. And 3, just because you went to school and got the credentials and put in the work does not mean that a pivot is not available to you. And when you land in that next pivot, you will realize why you did the things that you did to get to where you are today.
Everyone pivots.
Everyone.
She's having a sunk cost mindset where she thinks that everything pre this moment is going to go away and was useless. She's going to take so many of her skills that she's built from that time and what she's learned and bring it into there's such transferable skills that she has. But if you ruminate on I spent so much money, I left to go, it have to let it go. You have to let it go.
Well, it's like what we said, the whole like flip. Like her immediate reaction was panic and frustration and negative. When in actuality, she could say, if we're going to flip this, she could say, okay, I learned a ton of stuff. I'm going to pocket that knowledge. I'm going to pocket these tools and like look for a window of opportunity to transfer or take these tools elsewhere.
And also like super, oh God, it's so hard not to say the F word. I'm not going to lie.
Just let it out.
Okay, super brave of you to internally check in and to admit that this isn't working for you instead of succumbing to some up societal pressure that just because you went to college for something and you thought this was your dream. So one, the fact that you're even acknowledging that this isn't working for you is the biggest really first step that you could ever have taken. This is why you're having a midlife crisis at 29 and not 60. And let's just thank God real quick that it's happening to you now because you're about to save your whole entire life through this moment.
There's also, there's also something I saw on TikTok. There's like a psychological term for it, but there's a gap between the moment we like feel like, oh, I hate this job and whatever, and then the time that we actually take action. And most people will be like, okay, well, let me just keep going because maybe that feeling will go away. You waste more of the time. So it's like trust that feeling. Trust what's coming up for you. Don't doubt yourself. Don't say like, oh, maybe let me just stick through it because people hate their jobs, right?
Right.
No. Or that someone would feel grateful to have this job. Like, don't be grateful for something that sucks for you just because it wouldn't suck for someone else.
I think there's such a huge difference too because I think like there is a very small pocket of people that actually just love their job and just were blessed with this easy journey from like birth to job, like just so happy it all just fell into place. But majority of us, we've been through jobs that we've hated. We've been through shifts, changing majors, changing whatever, which as kids was frowned upon. Like you were supposed to just go to school and know what you want to be and like carry on. And I think like some people are able to have jobs that they're not passionate about, but it's a paycheck and it gives them the funds to fuel what they're passionate about. But that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing like this is sucking the actual life out of you to the point where like it's not like you get off of work and get to go enjoy the life that work has like funded. It sounds like this is like eating away at like who you are. So like that's why it's more urgent to be like, don't just see this as like a crappy job to like put up with, but like you've got to figure out what's going to make you happy. And I love that you guys said that because I think sometimes it's easy to look back and be like, oh my God, all this schooling, all this whatever. I went to school to be a therapist. I'm not a therapist now, but years down the road, we start doing this podcast and I feel like I use so much of what I've learned.
Totally.
And you know what? When I'm older, I might be like, I'm going to go back to school and just get get my master's and do it. Like you don't know what life is going to bring, but every conversation you have, every piece of knowledge that enters your mind, you don't know when that's going to like come to fruition. So I feel like be thankful for what you have and then be excited to see like where it pops out in life, you know?
Yeah, I grew up doing theater my whole life and that's what I thought I was going to, I thought I was going to be on Broadway. Like I did it professionally in high school.
Well, I could see that.
Exactly.
Like that fits your personality.
Exactly. Yeah. But then, I abandoned it before I went to college. It was like basically my whole identity and I just completely abandoned it. And now I do a podcast and like that's a form of performance that I just never
just like you on TikTok,
me on TikTok, these different outlets that like let me be creative in that same way. It's kind of like the therapist, like you studied it and like at that time I remember my mom was like mourning that, I was mourning too, right? Like there was, we worked so hard my whole, we were going to go to college, I was going to go to college and do this. It was my dream. And then I just abandoned it. And so now it's come back in like a different way. And so that's why I want to tell this girl, like, be creative with other ways you could use your skills because I think because you're so narrow in what you're doing and you were so focused, now you can like take a step back and like if you just take even 30 minutes just to kind of sift through, hey, what are my skills? What other industries would work? Oh, what about that opportunity? Oh my God, yeah. Whenever I do that, when I just like sit and I'm like, yeah, TikTok. Oh, I can do consulting. Oh, let me ask this person. It's like it all just kind of like it's a web. And I think because she's so focused that she hasn't taken a step back to see how many more opportunities there could be for her.
Yeah, and something I feel like she's doing that I personally think I struggle with too is I feel like everything has to change immediately.
Yes.
Like, I feel this like hate in my job position. I need to quit next week.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't have to happen that fast. It does not. Like, you could take this next 6 months, year, whatever, and like put feels out there, like try new things here and there, maybe talk to some people that you're close to, see if there's an opportunity there, try different avenues and see like what sticks. And this could be a change that happens a year, 2 years from now, that it's not a big like risk that has to be taken right away.
I like that.
Yeah, like don't put pressure
you
on
can take your
yourself to
time.
find like the right thing tomorrow.
Yeah, let's
just
not
be
make a
open.
rash.
Yeah, let's
a
just
Or
be
be like,
decision.
I have to be starving and in the streets because of, you know
Yeah,
what I
because
mean?
of
It's
no
like,
passion.
but I think something you said is something that I've learned in life and I think is so important, and it's the mourning period. I think a lot of people don't recognize that that's what's happening, and so they think, oh, I'm feeling so crappy about this, maybe I'm making, and all these doubts come in. But a long time ago I heard this, and the context is very different, but honestly I took it for everything in life, and it's, you know, parents who have a child that ends up having special needs. You have to mourn the child you thought you were going to have to fully accept and like be like, let's freaking take this life with the child you have, because nothing's wrong, but you get so locked in what you think your life is going to be, what you think your job is going to be, what you think your friendship's going to be. And you get so stuck in that competition with reality and fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think there is times where you can mourn because that was your career. That was what you thought your passion is. So mourn it and be sad. Give it the time like you need to process. But then after that, then you get up and you step forward and it's fresh. So I think I don't think people need to be scared of all the emotions that come with like closing a chapter, because if you don't process that, it's going to create roadblocks in your mind to come.
It's so interesting because I feel like I've been kind of mourning an identity because I didn't think, like, I'm so grateful and fulfilled in my career today beyond what I ever thought I would ever be. But I've realized that it wasn't what I thought I was going to do, and that other version of me that I thought that I decided when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, that never came true for a reason, because I tried that avenue and it didn't feel good to me. But I think that we get so caught up on our initial idea of what we want, and we think that if we didn't do that, we're doing something wrong, or you know what I'm saying? And so I've actually been doing that even post, like, you know, years into my career where I'm fulfilled. I have to realize that there was a part of me that I didn't pursue for a good reason, and I have to mourn that person because that's not the woman I was supposed to be in this lifetime. But we get so hung up on the first romanticized idea of what we want to be in life.
Absolutely.
Well, I love that. She also, something that listeners love to do is send us photos of themselves. So she sent a photo.
I don't have my glasses.
Stunning.
Hold on, wait. I need my prescription glasses.
She looks so good in this
Oh my
green dress.
Hello. That is a gorgeous dress. She looks beautiful.
It's a gorgeous dress. I love a one shoulder.
Same.
Well, Anonymous, thank you so much for writing in and sharing your journey and your story. I hope that was helpful. And I'm so excited for this next chapter of your life. I feel like it's going to be the best one.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
Okay. So the second email is we're going to hit on, you know, some sister things. Now, see, I've never had a sister, so this is always fascinating to me. Like every time she talks about her sister dynamic, I'm like, what is that like? Because I have all brothers. Like you punch it out, you yell, and then you go get lunch. Like that's
okay, sorry. But she punches it out, and then she punches me in the vagina, which I had to put up a boundary 2 years ago. I was like, maybe let's not punch the vagina, please. And then we would yell, and then we'd go have lunch. Okay,
so this will be interesting, your guys' perspective on this. So this is titled Big Sis Competition. Hi, girls. Not going to say your names because, we have this like brought on by me because, again, brothers. If they say hi, Taryne and Ash, I'm like, oh, they like me better. If they say Ash and Taryne, then I'm like, okay, you got that one. So everyone writes in being like, I don't know what to say because
That's so funny.
Again, guys, so sorry for that pressure I put on you. Okay, my name is Jana, and yes, you can say my name.
Oh.
I just turned 20 years old. Fun fact, my birthday is on April Fool's Day. I'm
that's
sure that
fun.
came with some memories. I'm from upstate New York. I've been listening to your podcast since the very first episode, along with watching both of your YouTube channels as soon as I get the notification that one of you posted. That's sweet. I wanted to start this off by saying thank you for making my every single Monday bearable. I commute about 30 minutes to school every day, and either listening to the new episode or old October series episodes is the highlight of every day.
Wow.
And yes, I am one of the weird listeners that listens to the podcast at the gym. I think that's weird. She doesn't.
I do think that's weird. I don't think
do?
our podcast is something that would hype me up
If
enough
it's
to do
not,
cardio.
if there's not heavy bass in my ear, I'm not going above a walk.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a stroll at
I'm
best.
trying to like remember the last time I went to a gym, so I have no comment.
Yeah. There's this movement of all the listeners saying they listen to us at the gym, and I'm like, for a walk, sure. Hike, sure. At the gym?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's
Me like
Listening to
talking about
this?
my getting diagnosed with depression 2 years ago, and they're just like, anyways, okay. I am currently a junior business student, and some of my favorite hobbies include staying home, watching movies, especially Marvel, going on walks, runs outside, going to the gym. Oh, also, I teach karate. I love how that's
Fun
just
fact.
Wow.
thrown in there. Oh, also, yeah. So now that you know a little bit about me, I'm going to get into my story. I am one of 5 children, the second youngest of the 3 girls. This is something that I've struggled with as long as I can remember, but if I had to guess an exact age, probably since I was around 11 or 12 years old. My older sister, also my best friend, and my Ashley to my Taryne, is 2 years older than me. Everyone always thinks we're twins. Even my dad gets us mixed up. And although I love her more than anything, I have struggled with being her shadow with what feels like forever. People know me as blank's little sister. I've lived the past almost 10 years of my life being jealous of her career, which is nursing, and how absolutely stunning she is, and just overall her personality. She has curly hair. I have straight hair. She has a beautiful curvy body. I am shaped more like a fridge.
Wait, does she have a photo? Because we need to see the photo now.
I love it. I've seen the photo.
Honestly,
I disagree with the fridge
I
statement.
will say, out of every appliance in my house, the fridge brings me
fridge
the
is the
most
sexiest.
joy.
That's true. That's true.
So
That's true.
honestly, I don't take that as anything but positive.
I'll take that compliment.
Yeah. I guess you could say she gets all the attention from guys. I'm known as just the little sister. I don't know. It just has always felt like my...
Like a script.
I don't know.
Okay. It just always has felt like my identity, and I struggle with being confident and loving myself for who I am. Because it often feels like I'm only valued because I am her sister, and either when I meet new people or talking to people, I already know they don't really want to get to know me for who I am, but rather about who she is. I'm not really sure if any of this is making sense, but I just wanted to ask for some advice. She's the closest person I have in my life. I tell her everything and we spend so much time together. However, I've always struggled with not liking myself for both who I am inside and out because of the comparison to her, which I will never level up to. I've always seen myself as a younger sister. I've tried so hard not to compare myself to her because our relationship is so strong. But I've been really struggling, and I don't want this comparison and insecurity of mine to ever create a void between us. So I guess I'm just asking for some advice on really anything you could say. Also, if I'm hearing this on the podcast, thank you so much for reading my story. That would be a literal dream come true. Again, thanks for being 2 older sisters to me and my favorite podcast ever. Love you girls so much. Love, Jenna. And then she said, did she have a picture?
She did. I airdropped it to you.
You airdropped it
I
to
see
me.
it.
Oh.
It's fun being on this side. I'm usually opposite her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me see.
So I
Does she
think
look like a
that's her.
fridge?
No, she does not.
Are they?
okay.
They're
She's
like
an actual
actually
model.
stunning.
I know.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
we
So
have
you're
some.
blind.
We have some like identity.
blinders.
We don't
things
want to
need work
gaslight
on.
you, but oh my God. Oh my God. You are
have some
so
you have some,
gorgeous. I don't know what to do about it.
you have some body dysmorphia.
Yeah, like,
That's
I don't
exactly
think,
what that
like,
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is, oh wow. What if we
Yeah.
looked like that? That's shit.
All four of us
It'd be
going, am I a
over.
fridge?
And what life be like?
It would be
Did you see that
over.
curly hair?
I know.
Yeah.
The straight hair and the I mean,
I
we would
know.
take either.
Oh God.
Anything over this.
I would take anything.
Anything over this. Wow. Can we move to New York? What's going on in that family?
The jeans, wow.
So,
But also,
first-
do you have older brothers?
Sounds like she does.
the first thing that came to mind, there's two things that personally came to mind. The end is that you would never, you're worried about it creating a void. When I would say that the biggest worry of yours should just be how you feel in your own skin versus what you and your sister's relationship is. Because first and foremost, it has to be an internal confidence that shines through and comes through. And so I always feel like when my sister triggers me, I think sisters are the most triggering than potentially other people or other friendships can be. And so whenever I'm triggered with Mads, it's not necessarily a, like, what is she, I don't go into the what does she have that I don't have, because that's the initial trigger. It's where am I lacking in giving myself that thing that I need. So if I see that my sister's popping off more on social versus me, okay, where do I give myself that validation? So if you can come up with the areas that you're looking to outsource by competing with your sister, how can you give those areas to yourself? Because even if you hit every criteria that your sister has that you think you should have, you would still feel this way, unfortunately. So the pursuit in trying to get what your sister has isn't actually going to bring about the confidence that you have internally. You have to figure out how to give those pieces of love, validation, confidence to yourself first. But it's so beautiful because your sister is providing a very, very true and harsh mirror to you of what you are internally lacking in yourself, and not lacking in yourself like you don't have it, that you're failing to see that you have in yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like you have to go inward.
Yeah.
Like I think certain triggers for Scout is, she's so much farther on like her personal development journey and her mental health and and her mindset and her business acumen. And I get sometimes like, oh, why am I not there? Why, all these things. And then I just do the work myself. Like I just put it back and say, okay, where do I need to grow? What do I need to learn? And it's definitely more of an inward journey. And it seems like you might also depend a bit on your sister to give you that, because you guys are so close. And it seems like maybe there's a dependency even. So if she can separate that and be like, I'm my own individual, I'm going to take ownership of who I am and be confident.
Yeah, there seems to be maybe like some enmeshment going on where there's like a codependency enmeshment.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do to find your own identity in this process. And also, like, Mads just listed triggers that I had that I trigger in her, and I have triggers that she triggers in me. And which means that your sister probably, I would 100% guarantee, looks at you and is triggered by some of the things that you have that she doesn't have. And that's the beautiful part about sisters, is that we see what we don't have in the other, and then if you do the inner work, you can learn how to give that to yourself so that you can always be self-sufficient within that love, respect, inner child confidence stuff. Because I think Mads and I trigger each other, I'm assuming, all the time, but we don't actually at this point
Like say
anything because we
it's
both
not
take responsibility for it.
Because it's not
it's
like
not about
her. Like you being triggered, it's not something like she needs to do anything different.
No.
It's internal, like what you were saying.
Yeah,
and
we
I
take
think,
responsibility for it.
Yeah, you take like the power back of like, oh, okay, no, I can handle this. And I think right now, her being worried about it affecting the relationship, like she hasn't found that yet, like within herself.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because we talked about this a while ago, that jealousy can actually be a very valid tool to help you understand what it is that you're wanting. Why is Siri? I did not say Siri.
Shut up.
It's not about you. Okay. But you know, like if I see someone and I'm jealous of something, instead of me putting that person's face in like what I'm feeling at that time, it's stripping it back to say, oh, okay, like something about them in this moment is something I want or I'm insecure about in myself.
Yeah.
So how do I like separate that? And I think too, we've talked about this balance a lot. Like it's okay to have multiple levels of emotion in something. Like I can look at you and be like, I'm just enamored by like your success and I'm so proud of you and I love this about you and it makes me like so just like in awe of who you are. And then I can also go cry because I'm like, dang, I really like want to get there. But you have to be able to separate. It's not that person. It is like something in that moment, just like you both mentioned. And I think if you start to like do that, you're going to stop seeing it as your sister's face and, oh, I'm compared to, that's just what people do to siblings in general. You're grouped. So if that's happening where people are like, oh, I'm just so-and-so sister, taking a step back and being like, okay, well, I am. So like, why am I being offended by that? That's fine. And like creating your own identity. And like, it doesn't matter if people group you in their eyes. Like, how do you see yourself in your eyes? Like, that's what's important.
Right. I think the thing with siblings, whether you're sisters or brothers or any siblings, you're going to compare yourself to each other, period.
Yeah.
Like that's actually normal and natural. I think it's full picture or full circle back to what we were talking about earlier. It's the narrative that you tell yourself with the high school friend and how you react to things, right? So like that initial comparison of comparing yourself to your sister is normal and natural. So you shouldn't hate yourself for doing that, but you can't allow yourself to sit there and stew on constantly comparing yourself to her and putting yourself down, because then that's going to put you in this negative mindset where you're just going to continually, like domino effect, just shoot yourself down every single time. And that's so toxic to yourself. So what it's going to take is some active thinking, which we've talked about on the podcast before, where you have to actively change the direction of your thoughts into a more positive one. Like, oh, if you are comparing yourself to your sister because of her outfit that day, then pop off tomorrow on your outfit, or go home and change if that's going to make you feel better, or drop it. Like you got to like start taking control of where your mind's going, because it sounds like your mind's kind of like letting yourself stew on this when it shouldn't be, and that's just gonna cause problems down the line.
Also, let me see if this lands. Are we maybe feeling insecure about certain things or needing a level of love, validation, acceptance within? And instead of looking and taking responsibility for that internally, we're putting a symbol on it, and that's your sister's face.
It does sound like that.
Yeah. And so it's easy to be like, I'm comparing myself to your sister, but writing down the areas that you need to, love on you a little bit more.
Or that's even her source of confidence is from her sister, not coming from
Or even in some way, like that's taking the blame off of herself for not putting in work in these areas and putting it towards, oh, well, I don't have it as good as her.
Yeah.
Maybe playing the more victim mentality in that way.
Very it's interesting because, like, it's so funny with, like, comparison because, like, if we really got to be like everyone else, like, life would be so boring. Yeah. And, like, someday, like, even with body differences, like, if, like, a guy wants a skinnier body and doesn't like me because I'm curvier, okay, that's cool. Because you best believe someone right behind you is going to be like, give me those thighs, girl. Right? You know what I mean? Like, we all have things that we want and don't want. We have likes, dislikes, strengths, weaknesses. And it's about, that's why life is so beautiful and it flows so much, is because I fill in a gap you can't. You fill in a gap I can't. And, like, we work off of that. But we spend so much time and effort trying to fit into this mold that, like, I still am not sure, like, who made up. And, like, it's not, it's like, just embrace yourself for who you are, fall in love with who you are before you, like, start seeking anything else from another person, because it's not going to be as valid as, like you were saying, as you finding your own security.
1,000%. And the grass is never greener on the other side. So, like, even if you were to get everything that your sister had, or you were your sister for a day, oh, guess what your sister is doing? Comparing herself to someone else. Yeah. Like, it's just she has her own insecurity. She has her own feelings. Like, when you look at someone and you say, wow, they've had it easy, they've got it figured out, they've got it all going for them, I want to be them. they are not thinking that, and they have someone else that they think that about.
Yeah. So let's talk about like tangible steps for a second. It sounds like some kind of like separation would be helpful, like maybe a new separate friend group or a new activity or something that she does that's not with her sister. Because I know me and my sister needed that.
Yeah. I also think a little bit of inner work. I think it doesn't seem like she, or maybe she does if she didn't mention it, but I think a little more inner reflection, carving out that identity, making sure that she's working on confidence and
valuing herself.
Yeah. Giving that validation to herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a book or like a resource that would be good for this specifically.
There's a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts called Reset with Liz Tran. She
also
has
writing that down.
She has this episode on confidence. It's probably just like called Confidence. It's very simple, but she had this amazing comparison of confidence as a bank account, and every single day you're depositing into the confidence bank account, and then anytime that you seek or you get your confidence from external validation, you're actually depleting your bank account. So then you always are, it's coming from inside, it's not coming from, and so it seems like she might be depleting her confidence bank account because she's looking at her sister or other people to give her that validation where she needs to flip it.
Yeah, like whenever I ask my husband if I look beautiful, I need the validation that I'm pretty that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's not like him saying it is gonna, like it's like you.
I needed someone to tell me. So that means that I technically, like, that could have Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid over the actual.
He doesn't have the power to make you feel beautiful. You just needed to hear that.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because the more you start to like build your own confidence and like what you like and don't like, because I mean, after my breakup, I was so depleted at like who I was and what I like wanted in life, even like, what do I want to wear today, right? So I've taken a lot of time and effort into like building that part up. And it's funny because the other day I like sent a picture of like an outfit to like a group of friends, and I was like, oh, is this cute for like an event or something? And immediately like someone said something like, I feel like you could find something cuter. And I remember like it, like my feeling was like, oh, but I really liked it. And then I sat back and I was like, then why do you care?
Yeah.
Like,
why did
then
you ask?
wear the outfit.
Yeah.
Like, why did you need to ask? Or cool if you wanted to ask, but your initial like your feeling is like, but I like it. Then like, why do you?
Yeah.
Why aren't you wearing it then? Like, what's the question?
Yeah.
Like, what are we trying to figure out here?
Weird.
So it's funny. Like, the more you get in tune with that, it almost feels unnatural to be like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm doing this for me. Like, oh yeah, I should be. So I think the more that you put focus in this, Jenna, I think you're going to start to like see little pops of like habits start to form, like shifting in thoughts, and it's going to become contagious to where you're like, okay, this feels good. Like I want more of it. So I think don't stress your relationship. You guys are family. You're going to find your new balance. But this is more something like you've got to like go internal and build up.
And
to.
your sister wants you as the most
absolutely.
confident, independent, self-sufficient, fulfilled, aligned person. Your sister would want this for you.
Yeah,
So.
and an authentic version of you,
Yeah,
not a
for
little
sure.
mini version of herself.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sweet. I loved that. These
my
are
goodness.
great stories.
Great stories. Something that we've done for almost the entire podcast is end with a dad joke.
Do you guys like dad jokes?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Oh,
Let's hear
Scout
it.
does.
No, you do lately. I'm like, what? She's like the facts. Whatever
Wait, I was just gonna say that, guys. All facts, no printer.
Oh, so good.
But
Nope.
no, I love. My humor is very like dad joke humor, and Ashley is not. So it's funny because like I forced this into our podcast, and then there was one point where Ash was saying she didn't like it, and so I was like, fine, we don't have to do it, and everyone like came at her.
Like cancel.
Yeah. She's all
She's like, I guess.
The people have spoken.
Ending with
It's fine.
dad jokes.
I just laugh by myself, but you know,
All right, here we go.
it's habitual.
Ashley
so
and I
here
will
we
be
go.
like,
yeah. Okay.
Good one.
How does the moon cut his hair?
how does the moon cut his hair? Something with splice or slice.
Something with cheese.
What?
I don't know,
Cheese?
because people say like the moon is like cheese.
Yeah. With the whole.
How
it's
does
all
the
Swiss
moon
cheese.
cut his hair? With sun shear? What is it?
I love listening to her.
Us, like, we're from-
Eclipse it.
Okay, that was pretty good. That was like a pun. That was like a riddle.
Yeah, it was like a riddle.
That was a riddle. That was a riddle. That's like
wasn't a
at
dad
Starbucks.
joke.
The Starbucks next to my house, they put these riddles outside. I've yet to actually get one, but I ask the answer every time.
You ask the barista? Because they're the ones that have to give the answer.
They put
never
it.
seen that.
The manager has a little chalkboard outside the pickup drive-through.
That's great.
And I try every time, and I never get it. But I wish them a good morning.
I'm still nice though.
That was a good one.
Well, as we wrap up, do you guys want to just shout out like any platform, any like your personal accounts, and everywhere people can find the two of you?
Yeah, well, first of all, if you listen to Unsolicited Advice, you're definitely an Okay Sis listener. Like talking to you today, I was like,
Yeah,
do the four of us have a podcast?
It's very similar.
You can
Start a
find us.
series.
Yeah, exactly. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay Sis, which is OKAYSIS, on Instagram at Okay Sis Podcast, and you can follow me at Scout Sobel, where you can find everything I do. And Mads at Mady Mayo, where you can find
thanks.
everything Mads does.
Thanks.
That's it. Thanks. Yay.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was amazing. And I'm sure it's just cool because it's like, I know that someone listening today, one of the perspectives you brought was like meant to like go to them. So it's really cool to know. Yeah, this was great.
Yeah. No.
Ash is happy. She's like,
I'm happy. That's
amazing.
great.
All right. Love you guys. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.